G'day, hi, and welcome. A little bit of snow out there. It's starting to mild out again, so everything's melting, but oh well. Okay, World War III update. I got a few things. I guess I'll start with the big one. Now, what timeline this is going to take place in, I don't know, but there's a call for 12,000 tanks to go into Eastern Europe. But we're not in a Cold War or anything like that. It's just, so the Americans already have about 300. A lot of them are within, throughout Eastern Europe. There's the ones that are, being stored in caves in Norway and stuff like that. And then, of course, in Poland, they've got the big build up there, where they're doing all the drills and stuff like that. And of course there's some stuff going into Eastern Ukraine. Tanks so far, not too many tanks in Eastern Ukraine yet. Mostly just like APCs and the Humvees so far. Which those Humvees, some of them are kind of worn out, so they can't. Even the Ukrainian forces are like, well, we don't have new tires for these things. I can imagine a Humvee is quite a high maintenance vehicle for what it is. I mean, it wouldn't be like a tank or anything like that, but I had a friend that bought a Humvee years ago, and he didn't keep it very long. Number one, it was a guzzler because they are gas; they're not diesel. But he bought it for his Jeep wasn't good enough, so he wanted to one up all his buddies by buying a Humvee and stuff like that. And I think he said it was the maintenance was a little bit higher, stuff like that. So that's one. That's one big thing. So it just shows you that NATO is building along those lines. Now, with Turkey, there's maybe you guys heard about it, maybe you guys didn't. I think in my last update I talked about the South Korean vessel that thought it was fired a couple of warning shots at what they thought was a North Korean fishing vessel, but it happened to be a Chinese warship. Jeez, how did we get into the war? I don't know. I think somebody just started shooting at somebody. But what happened over there was you had basically the South Koreans, I guess it must have been a pretty foggy day or on the water or whatever, and they mistaked it for another ship, so they say. Now, not even a week after, we know about Turkey's trying to, basically block the Black Sea and stuff like that, so that Russia can't get the ships to Crimea and stuff like that. But they had a merchant ship come very close to a Russian warship within 500, 600 meters, which is not that far. That's not that far at all. To the point where the Russians actually fired warning shots. That's pretty scary because that's intentional saber rattling, but it's very dangerous because 500-600 meters from a ship, say barreling down at say 6 to 12 knots or faster. Probably we'll say the average merchant ship's not going to top out usually more than 12 knots anyway. But that doesn't give a lot of maneuverability if you don't know which way is he turning. Left, turning right. If he starts doing some S turns there, there could be a collision. So the Russians apparently did fire some shots, and there have been sightings of Russians walking around with RPGs on the decks of their warships. So I guess that's for when they get close to the coastal. But also, the Russians have moved a huge gas drilling rig, getting it closer to Crimea. They've taken it out of the Turkish area. So, the Russians are really pounding the shit out of the Turks via sanctions and stuff like that. They're really going to get back. Again, they're not going to do it directly. They're going to do it indirectly, and sanctions is the way they're going. Putin did a 3-hour marathon there, like he normally does his speech, or his sit-down one-on-ones there, his Q&As. And he was saying, when our pilots were flying around, they were flying around because ISIS doesn't have an air force, and Putin was saying along the lines like, we had no reason to suspect somebody would shoot us down. And again, even if you go by the Turkish account, they were only in their airspace if they even made it into their airspace, but the airplane clearly came down in Syria. So that said, 17 seconds in that airspace, is that justifying amount of time, especially considering it's flying parallel to Turkey? Definitely not. You could not even half-assed argue it was a planned invasion or an airstrike going in. So there's that. The Turks. A lot of bad things are going to be happening in Turkey. There's no doubt about that. And politically, I mean, Erdogan is known for talking about false flags and stuff like that. And what Putin was saying was, look, they shot down our jet, really unprovoked. I mean, they had the flight plan. NATO knew about the flight plan. Everybody knew that the Russians were going to be in that area. They'd flown there several times. And one thing he said was that, they shot down our airplane before, so we brought in the S-400 missile system. Let's see him try it again. That's Putin's exact words. Let's see him try it again. Yeah, try that now or whatever. Yeah. What does that tell you? So, and the other thing is, Putin it was either Putin or Assad, because I was listening to Assad as well, saying that, I think it was Assad was saying this. And another one of his, I mean, the man loves his country. He's not exactly, again, what I would call a saint. None of them are, but he does explain himself extremely well. If we only had politicians in this side of the pond, at least explain their positions in the manner in which Assad explains himself, the man knows how to conduct an interview. It's you can put him on the hot seat and he still gives you not a bullshit answer, but no, this is where my point of view is coming from. So whether you agree with him or disagree with him, at least you're genuinely getting an honest answer to the point where, okay, well, sure, factor in the politician part of it, but there's a lot of things he says in there, and it's like, yeah, he makes that point. You like, for example, he says, I don't care about the presidency. He says, if I cared about the presidency, he says, that's not what I care about. He says it's the public support he cares about, and he says there's no way I could be here if the public support wasn't there. He goes, the West saying that I'm killing all my people and stuff like that, and yes, civilians are getting killed from Assad's troops. I mean, it's war, and he says war's messy. He says war's always tragic, and that's true. It is. There's a lot of innocent people going to be killed in the crossfire. So in that case, yes, you can say he has killed some of his own troops, but that's not his main goal. But he says the support is from the people. The people know that ISIS is mercenaries. They know they're backed by the West. They know that, and one thing that's different about what Assad was saying too is he's starting to mention countries by name. He didn't mention Israel, but when he names, he kind of hinted at it, and others. So it's just a matter of time before Israel, he calls out Israel. But I think he's not safe enough to do it yet. So he called out the United States and stuff like that. But he was also saying, he says, if people were fighting, he says the Syrians are fighting for Syria. He says that's, and I believe that to be true. The Syrians are fighting for Syria. He says they're not fighting for me. He says they're not fighting for my presidency. He goes, if it was about my presidency, he says they wouldn't fight. He says they're fighting for Syria. So he says I'm not going to leave these people. He says I'm in it till the end. He says I'm in it till the end. And he goes, we are going to win, but it's just who knows when. And he also says, well, talking about the Russians, he says no, the Russians are there to kill. They're there to kill ISIS. And he says this is also why Turkey is doing all the crazy things, is because by cutting off the oil supply lines to Turkey, okay, and that whole connection with ISIS and everything, it's going to lead to destabilization in Turkey, which makes sense too because the terrorists aren't going to be getting paid, right? So again, that's the problem with mercenaries. You don't pay them, they'll run amok on you. It's just no honor among thieves, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So Assad points this out. He says, yes, Aragon is going to lose popularity in his own country because he's got bad policies, and that's why he's resorting to all these crazy things. And he even brings up the case point. He says the difference, he says, between me and the West's regime change, like they did in Egypt and other places like that. He says the only way I'm going to leave office is if the Syrian people ask me to leave. He says, other than that, he says, I'm here for the Syrian people. And he says, they could change, he says, what the West doesn't understand is they could do regime change in all these countries like they did in Egypt. But he says, if the people don't support it, they'll overthrow it. And when 80 million Egyptians take to the street and overthrow your government, I think that is a clear disapproval of your government. So it doesn't. He goes, it doesn't matter if they do regime change. They don't get it. It won't work if the people aren't on board, and that makes so much sense. But you can't get that through to the GOP or those kind of gaggleheads, or even the Democrats that are these are Zionist shills. And same with Israel. They don't get it. Like, it doesn't matter what puppet you put in. If the regime fights the people fight back. I think Assad's pretty much nails that on the head pretty well. As far as he talks about, it's an excellent interview too. If you get to the interviewer was very good as well. He says, "How do you classify this war? What is it? And he lists off a whole bunch of things, and he says, well, it's a combinations of everything. But he says what it really is, it is that kind of Sunni Shiite, Wahhabism and stuff like that. He calls out Saudi Arabia a couple of times on this. And he goes, but he says, the only way we're going to defeat terror is if, we go at it full bore. Like, none of this half-ass stuff. He says, the Russians are going at it full bore. Hence why, if you've been watching South Front at all, their daily updates, it's like the Syrian army has just been sweeping the country with the Russian air power and the Hezbollah and Lebanon and Iran, the Iranians. They've all been just one big coordinated. Like I said a couple of months ago, when the Russians get in there, they're going to start at one end of the country and just sweep it, right? Now here in Canada, we're still debating whether they want to keep the CF-18s in the fight or not. The Trudeau government's like, well, no, we don't really need them there. We're not using them that much anyway. But they want to keep boots on the ground and they want to do this. But what the allies and NATO allies have been asking us for is to keep our surveillance aircraft there, because our CP-140 Auroras are basically like a Canadianized version of the P-3 Orion, but the Canadian version is a little bit different. Where you'd say the P-3 Orion was just a dedicated sub-hunter. Yes, got electronic warfare, but I would say our version is closer to the P-8 Poseidon, where it got more surveillance-oriented as well. It's still a sub-hunter and stuff like that. Heck, you could even use it as a bomber if you wanted. It's got 16 feet of bomb bay underneath it, plus pylons for harpoon missiles, and you can arm this thing to the teeth, right? Plus you got oodles and oodles of loitering time. But they want our surveillance aircraft there. And I have a feeling why they want it there is for one thing and one thing only. And this could also explain something about the Turkish shooting down the Russian jet. Now, one thing Assad did say, he says, obviously the West had to know about this. He says the Turks would not do this on their own without knowing that they were backed by NATO first. So, he says, of course, he says, I don't think, well, he doesn't have proof, but, he says, I suspect that, very highly suspected that, yes, this was the Americans put them up to it, and the American government, for sure. And they would, but why? Well, here's one thing, and this makes sense why they want our electronic warfare aircraft there so much, surveillance aircraft, is one thing about the S-400 missile systems. Yes, they are sitting there. Same with the S-300 missile systems. They're sitting there. But they're not turning them on. And the Russians aren't stupid. They've got them up in the Arctic. They're not turning. They've got, they'll sweep the area and stuff like that with the radar and stuff like that. But depends what's in the area. If it's just regular warships and stuff like that, yeah, sure, they'll sweep the area with it. Or if it's aircraft, regular fighters, they'll sweep the area. But electronic warfare aircraft, they might not turn the radar systems on. Why? Because then we don't know how to beat the S-400 and the S-300 missile systems right yet. They're the best missile system in the world. This even comes from American intelligence as well, saying, yes, these systems are better than what we got. So even from their own account, yes, these things are state-of-the-art. So the Russians are not underclassed by any, and then there's a lot of people still think that, they're still thinking 1950s Soviet era. But military wise, but the Russians are clearly advancing and have very, very advanced state of the art stuff. But state of the art only works until you figure out how to beat it, right? So and then it's always a weapons escalation. How do you fool them again? So it's a lot of money to play. It's a lot of money to play guess what I have. It really is. If you think about it, as soon as they figure out how to beat the S-400 missiles, well, those whole systems of billions and billions of dollars become obsolete. They're a bunch of tin cans, It's like an SA-4. What's it going to do, It just, that type of thing. So I think that's why they want to keep our aircraft, not just our aircraft, but other aircraft, intelligence aircrafts in the area too. So they're not asking for our CF-18s; they're asking for our CP-140s, electronic warfare, that type of thing. Now that said, if they have enough confidence in our CP-140s, that's good for us because if there is ever a Russian invasion, at least we know our CP-140s could possibly use, the missiles we'd be using is like the AMRAAM and stuff like that, but probably could be linked up to other like Mavericks or whichever version of the Mavericks out there now to take out things at longer ranges, jamming radar systems and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of gives you an idea where we're at. Next to that, Putin also has a crush on Donald Trump. Ain't that cute? Oh, yeah. Putin was out there saying, one of his audience members, and you have to understand, when Putin does his Q&A thing, and he has his audience of, 300-400 people, whatever they're. Sorry, a little perched. Yeah, I know, I'm cutting down on this junk, but it's Friday, so I'm going to spoil myself. And then I won't have any for the rest of the weekend. But it's the only bad habit I got. So next to looking so good, that's the other bad habit I got. But anyway, yeah. So Putin's sitting there in his Q&A, and he's talking about. Somebody asked him, "What do you think of Donald Trump?" And he's like, "Okay, well, I think he's an intelligent man. He's well conducted. He's this. He's blah blah blah." But Putin says something very interesting. He says, "Yes." He goes, he says, like Putin always does. He always does that kind of, well, it's up to the Americans to make that choice, that type of thing. But he's hinting at it, right? He's like, yeah, vote for that guy. He goes, but he does say something. He says, Donald Trump said that he would be willing to work with Russia. He says, how could we not be interested in that? So, okay, let's examine. Mainstream media in all countries, all Western countries, hate Donald Trump, including here in Canada. The CBC, all they can know, they bash Donald Trump. I mean, we're not even in the election. Now, mind you, Canada does have a vested interest, considering it's our biggest trade partner, and we're their biggest trade partner. We do 80% of our trade with them. And the Americans, trust me, they do a ton of trade with us. That's very vital. Gas, hydro. If you're on the eastern seaboard of the United States, yes, you're welcome for Quebec Hydro. So business is good. Business is good, and it's needed. So yeah, you're going to have your political pundits in Canada too, putting in their 2 cents, right? But for the most thing is all the mainstream media in Canada, the United States, left side, right side. Here in Canada, we have we have the channel, CBC, and that's it, right? And every other umbrella corporation under CBC, CTV, CHRO, etc., etc. They're all basically owned by the CBC. But the thing is that they're all going hell-bent to demonize Donald Trump as much as they can. Oh yeah, and there's another guy that has a crush on Donald Trump. Mike Tyson. Yeah. I like his ear. I might give him a little nibble. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, but anyway, yeah. So Mike Tyson endorses Donald Trump. That's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, yeah. You be bashing my man Trump. Oh, yeah. What a character that guy is. But anyway, yeah. So Putin endorses him. Okay, the mainstream media hate him. The GOP hates him. The Democrats hate him. I think you should vote for him. It's like if the mainstream establishment on both sides of the aisle hate this man that much, he must be doing something right. But again, I think with Trump, it's because you get the honesty. Trump, has killed political correctness. He's a bull in a china shop on that one. Love him or hate him. But people are craving the honesty. They're not craving the character. They're craving the honesty. It's like, well, I don't like what he's saying, but at least I know what he's thinking. You know what I mean? The devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And I think that's what people will gravitate to. That type of thing. So there's that. And then you've got, oh my God, I didn't watch the GOP debate, but just the little snippets and clippets that I got. I think it's going to be as bad. It just shows how jackass these people really are. The GOP, to me, Donald Trump's he's going to run as an independent in the end. Because they're going to take Marco Rubio or Jeb Bush or whoever. Maybe they might take, Ted Cruz. Which I don't know how Ted Cruz can run for president. Because if you go with all the birthers that were saying, Obama wasn't born in the United States and he can't be born in Kenya and stuff. Well, Ted Cruz, openly born in Calgary, Alberta, he's Canadian. He can't run for presidency. He didn't. So, again, I'm not an Obama fan. You guys know about what I think of Obama. But fair's fair. Sorry, Mr. Cruz. I wouldn't vote for him anyway. He's way too pro-Israel. But that's the problem with the GOP in general is you have almost an entire debate about how they're going to, give a reach around to Israel. You know what I mean? Like it's like it's just we got problems here. Never mind Israel. But it shows you where the money's coming from. That's where Donald Trump is different. Yes, Donald Trump is, he's pandered to the Jewish lobby. Yes, Brother Nathaniel covered it well, I think. So yeah, we still live in that era. We're not living in the era where you've got somebody ballsy enough to overthrow the whole Israeli lobby and cut them off and cut off Israel altogether. But that's coming. It won't be Trump. It'll probably be two guys after Trump. My theory. Maybe one guy after Trump. If there's even Ben Carson was out there saying there might not even, he says the population is moving into revolt. I like Ben Carson. I think he's dropping out from what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But he was even saying there might not even be a 2016 election. He says we're populace is getting into revolt mode. And they are. You could see it. I mean, you could see it everywhere. There's going to be a major revolt. One turn down in the economy, people are going to just flip out. They're just going to flip out. They're sick of war. They're sick of everything. They're sick of the race baiting. They're sick of all that stuff. So it's just the diesel. Light the gas. You throw the match on and get it done. But yeah, so things are going to happen. The other thing too is that you have idiots like Chris Christie and Graham there, Lindsey Graham, talking about. Chris Christie's talking about how he would enforce a no-fly zone against the Russians. They're still talking about that. Like, that's such a bygone issue. Now, is he trying to appear tough? I don't know. Is he insane? Like, do they not understand when you call for shooting down Russian aircraft, you are not helping. The Russians watch TV too. Their guys know what you guys think because you guys can't keep your damn mouths shut. And not only that, I'm glad they don't, because again, the devil is better. Chris Christie, if he was president of the United States, you would be in a thermonuclear war. Lindsey Graham, John McCain, if these guys were the presidents of the United States, you would be in a thermonuclear war. These guys want to kill Russians. They don't want to do it themselves. No. Them and their family will be in the bunkers, because they're precious, right? But you will have to go fight. Your daughters are now going to have to go fight. Your daughters are going to get... This next war, man, I don't know how it's going to go down in history books. But they're going to be sitting there saying, yeah, there was all these gentlemen letting the ladies go first. Yeah, we got a whole division of Russian tanks over there. Okay, ladies, time for you to shine. Get out there. Yeah. Hoorah! Ladies first. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And yeah, here's a particle of your daughter. Yeah, apparently, the TOS-1 Bernardino didn't found her position. Yeah, she kind of got incinerated. Sorry about that, but she was patriotic. Here's a part of the medal. You tie it to the rest of the finger. Till it rots off or whatever. Yeah. That's just gonna. It's gonna be just brutal. It's brutal. Look at how the Russians are trading. Trust me, they're not putting any political correctness whatsoever in their trading. No. Yeah, listen to the Russian soldiers. We love America, we love Coca-Cola, but we'll kill you if you cross this line. It's like they're ready to fight. They're ready to fight. They're ready to defend their country. They love their country. That's where the difference is that the Russians right now, they're you could take everything from the Russians right now. They're still going to be. They're going to still smile the way the Russians. They're still going to be happy. I am happy Russian. See me smile. I'll smile more. I am really smiling now. My vodka ran out, but I'm still happy. Why? Because I am smiling. Because I am proud to be a Russian. Yeah, so that's a Russian smile right there. But the thing is that. After the Turkey shot down the jet, the Su-24, Putin went from an 88% approval rating to 92%. Even if you said half of that is bullshit, that's still an outrageously high approval rating. Ronald Reagan, 54%. That was the best they could ever get in the States. Here in Canada, I think Pierre Elliott Trudeau might have been the highest in the 40s. Breaking the 40 mark is almost impossible for a politician. Almost impossible. It takes a lot of propaganda to get that far. But the thing with Putin is the people back him. Like Assad said, the people back him. In the States, nobody's backing Obama. And if you have a military force I'm not saying that the soldiers aren't proud. I'm not saying that at all. Don't take it that way. Because I know, soldiers serve with pride. I get that. But they don't have any faith in their leadership. There's a big difference there. They don't see Alexander the Great running their, at the head of the, of their, commander in chief. The Russians, they're seeing Peter the Great there. Like Putin is their new Peter the Great. And that's, he's becoming a folk hero in his own time. Yes. Putin's propaganda machine is really damn good. They got Putin mugs. They got Putin. I mean, they're trying to do it here with Justin Trudeau. I mean, you're starting to see like Justin Trudeau and Vanity Fair and stuff like that. But it's so hollow. It's so hollow. Putin, I am going to go sit in cage with leopard. The guy's trying to wrangle the leopard to get him over to Putin. The leopard's fighting back. Sits beside Putin. Putin says, "Sit, kitty." Leopard sits quiet. I mean, you can watch the footage. It's like the thing's just sitting there, kind of like, I'm being petted by Vladimir Putin. It's pretty cool. I better not bite him. He might bite me back. So even the animals know to respect him. So, how do you contend with that? How do you contend with that? And of course, Putin was also asked questions about his family and his daughters and stuff like that. Where are they? What are they doing? Says they stay out of the political life. And I can imagine it's probably safer for them to stay out of the political life, considering who's on the bounty there. The other thing Putin was saying was he gave a warning to Donald Trump. He says, careful, they're going to try to assassinate you. What does he know, right? Who's he been, what's his intelligence officers picking up? Which brings me back to, and somebody asked me the question about Steve Pachenik, who I like, because Steve Pachenik, he is an intelligence guy, and yes, he goes on Alex Jones, and yes, somebody, one of my subscribers sent me a thing on, the Zionist connection with Alex Jones. Yes, Alex Jones is openly supportive of Israel. To what degree, I'm not 100% sure, but Alex has said it online very many times. Yes, I support, Israel's right to defend itself, but I don't support, other things they do. And I've kind of said the same thing. Sure, if somebody attacks Israel, by all means, they have every right to defend themselves. Where I don't like what Israel does, I mean, it's their own country, they can do whatever they want within their country. But when they're doing preemptive strikes, I think they deserve an ass kicking. You take that literally. That doesn't make you a Zionist. That makes you, okay, well, somebody busts into your house, you're going to smash them in the chops. But if you go over to your neighbors and smash them in the chops, which I'd never do that because, number one, everybody around me is family. But if you go over and smash them in the chops and then say, I did that because you were going to break into my house, well, you're going to get, whatever happens to you, you deserve, so that type of thing. So Putin's saying that. But when Steve Pachenik, and somebody asked me about this too, was asking about, what did Steve Pachenik mean when he hinted that the United States didn't have a year left? He said it about 2 or 3 times in that interview. It was about an hour-long interview or whatever that he usually does with Alex. And he was talking about a couple of things. He says, we got to get Obama out of there. He's a madman. He's crazy. But again, who do you put in? The only one that's not talking about more war or war with Russia or just more war in general other than the idea of dealing with ISIS is Trump, and maybe Rand Paul. The rest of them, think about it this way. Chris Christie is sitting there talking about shooting down Russians so they can't attack ISIS. He wants to be, not only are the American pilots pissed off because they're ISIS Air Force, many of them are starting to ramble. They're starting to get really pissed off about this. You're going to have a U.S. military coup in the States because people like these elites are completely out of touch with the people. If you're going to fight ISIS, you fight ISIS, and the proof is in the pudding. Again, watch South Front for their daily upgrades. Look at Homs in Syria. They gave a 24-hour, 36-hour, whatever it was, or 48-hour evacuation thing, saying, we're coming in, out you go. Assad has made, one thing that Assad has done, is he has made, this deal, and he's done this deal for, I don't know how many years now, that if you just put down your weapons, there'll be an amnesty. Meaning, if you're fighting, stop fighting, go back to your peaceful life, no repercussions. You won't be thrown in jail. Now, that's what he says now, but I'm pretty sure once they wrangle the area, yes, people are going to be rounded up and slaughtered. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is, he says, the jihadist groups, he says, their ideologies are too different, that no, they're just not going to stop. So they're in it till the end, no matter what. But they are winning. They are clearly winning. So you're telling me guys like Chris Christie and Lindsey Graham and John McCain want to risk open war with the Russians to protect ISIS? When the world is looking at that, how come the Russians in like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, have pretty much taken back almost, I'd say, 2/3 of Syria? No, there's still, they're going to be in it for years, don't get me wrong, but city after city, they're taking back. The Syrians are taking back. And we'd rather get into another conflict with the Russians. The United States had a 238 years or 36 years of its existence. 222 of them, they've been in war. You not seeing a pattern here? Yeah. So it's time for regime change in the United States. Get those governments out of there. So what does Steve Pachenik mean by the United States doesn't have a year left? I don't know. But this man doesn't speak unless he's trying to tell you something. Now, he said 2 things that I found of interest. That was one. The other one was that they want to get Obama out of there. He didn't want to see an assassination. He didn't say assassination attempt. He didn't want to see assassination. Now, this guy is pretty high-level CIA. Okay? Now, obviously, and he himself has said, he says, I got crap for saying some things on a few previous shows that I wasn't supposed to say. Because he has to watch what he says, too, because it could get him killed, right? But the thing is, would he tell you anything unless he had the okay to tell you? So what is he telling you? He says the United States doesn't have a year left. Draw your own conclusions from that. We've seen the rate hike. Janet Yellen did the rate hike. The economy is going to be the main focal thing of everything. But does it mean economic collapse? Economic collapse in 2016? Full-out war in 2016? I don't know. But something I said a couple of years ago, if we got too close to a war, you would see an assassination on the president. Guaranteed. But that could also be the catalyst that gets us into war. Archduke Ferdinand. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen this play before. So it's hard to say if that's what they might do. That's a possibility. We don't know, but it's never what happens. Is what is the reaction? So if, let's say, and I'm not calling for it, but I'm just saying, let's say what he's hinting at is that the military is getting ready to assassinate Obama. I don't think they're going to stop at Obama. In fact, I don't think they would start with Obama. I think they would probably start with the people much higher up. So, your Soroses, your Kissingers, your Brzezinskis, those type of guys, if you just see them drop dead one day. Now, mind you, they are old men, so nobody would suspect a thing. But just, David Rockefeller, these four men have created so much death and destruction in the world, it's not funny. And they do give a lot of marching orders. But they're not the only ones. There's other guys out there, the banking industry, everything like that, the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgans, all those things, particularly Goldman Sachs, all the Rockefellers, Rothschilds. All these people, watch for their circles to start dropping dead. If you start seeing an alarming number of those people dropping dead, then you know something really, the hellhounds are coming out, and we've talked about the hellhounds. And the thing is I think when they come out, they just come out full bore, and we're not going to see it. It's going to be, these are going to be not, it's not going to be the Hollywood guys coming out in tactical gear and knocking off these, no. It's, this guy took a sudden heart attack. This guy had just mysteriously died. This guy committed a suicide. The stuff they've been doing to the bankers all along. Now, the banker deaths have kind of calmed down a bit. So, again, I think as the economy gets bad, you're going to see the banker deaths go up. But you're going to start to see the global players getting knocked off at some point. They're going. It's because that's the game that's being played. I mean, that's what the game's always been. It's never been about us. It's been about those people up there fighting each other. This empire against that empire. That type of thing. It's a monopoly, right? So there was those two things that he hinted at, and he hinted at them once or twice, maybe three times on in that interview, and he couldn't elaborate on what a year left meant. But we can use our imagination. We know what's going on in the world. So we know the economy has one of the big things. And if you go with a Gerald Celente kind of frame of mind, you also know when all else fails, they take us to war. And if you've been looking at the doctrine, looking at the military moves, following these very things that I talk about, it's not hard to conclude that they would possibly, even before Christmas, take us into another war. And the thing is the war they want is the big war with Russians. Because they could have put boots on the ground in Syria now if they wanted that. But the thing is what they want the Russians or the Chinese to do, okay, is to basically be, shoot first. But they won't do it. again, the Russians will probably let 100 airplanes get shot down before they fire first. They got their eye on the prize. They know what the prize is. If you don't let the Anglo-American Empire go to war, they collapse. Because that's what the bankers want to use as an excuse so that they don't get blamed for the collapse. They basically want to say, okay, well, here you go. It was the Russians and the Chinese that started a war. That's why the economy collapsed. But that's not happening. The economy is imploding. Case in point, the loonie. Yes, our dollar's called the loonie. I know, those loony Canadians. 11-year low. It hasn't been this low in 11 years. In other words, it hasn't been low since the previous Liberal government. And it's not helping our exports at all. Or it's not helping us at all. Like, our exports are not really going up because the Baltic Dry Index, nobody's buying anything right now. Even when I'm in town doing, usually, when you get close to Christmas, there's 2 months of just being hammered by Christmas this, Christmas that. I'm not seeing it this year, not even on TV. Like, it's just, yes, there's the Christmas holiday commercials, but it's not just like back to back. Even walking through the malls, it's like usually around Christmas time, a week before Christmas, it's usually the worst, but usually the whole month of December, it's like you go into a mall, and it's like, come on, get on my way, come on, you're elbowing your way through. Not this year. Black Friday, dismal. Cyber Monday, dismal. Nobody's got money. Everybody's broke. The climate change thing in Paris, they're not really talking about it, are they? According to Lord Monkton, apparently it might not be, it might kind of flopped. And if he's any indication of what's, because this guy follows it pretty good, he was saying that this might be the peak of that, and then hopefully from there, it's just gonna okay, enough with this global warming and global climate change BS. It's it's all about a carbon tax. That's what the IMF said. Oh, it'd be perfect for a global carbon tax. That's how they want to get the next banker bailout, which won't matter because they keep doing the same thing. So you keep bailing them out, they just keep running up the debt higher and higher. So the thing here in Canada is over there in Alberta, okay, Rachel Notley, which is supposed to have been the savior of Alberta. How's that working for you? How's that protest vote working for you over there in Alberta? Pretty good, huh? I told you. I freaking told you. What the hell were you guys thinking? Smack! I mean, I lived in Alberta years ago. What the hell are you guys thinking? Like, were you stupid or something? Smack! Why the... Oh, my God. I get it. Oh, my God. And I started thinking about the previous election with the Harper government. I wonder if Harper actually threw the election. I'm really wondering if he threw... I'm really wondering if he threw the election. Because he didn't really... Now, mind you, the CBC handled Justin Trudeau with the baby gloves, and same with the NDP. And, they just hammered the Conservatives as much as they could, try to, and it worked. I mean, it worked. But did it work to the degree... maybe Harper was thinking, okay, we got to make it look like we're in it to win it, but we don't actually want to win it because we know the economy's going on this net. We know that when the economy turns down, I'm saying keep your eye on February because that's going to be usually the slowest time of the year. When we see layoff after layoff after layoff, and they're starting to come in now. They're predicting 80,000 to lose their jobs in Alberta. Yeah. 35,000, 40,000 have already lost their jobs from the oil patch. You're not going to notice it overnight, but 6 months after, the trickle effect, the people that were stopping in the little coffee shop, they don't stop there for breakfast anymore. Got to close shop, hours are cutting down, that type of thing. Minimum wage, $15 an hour, NDP promise, not going to happen. No. Well, we got to reconsider that. Why? Because it's going to put almost all the small businesses in Alberta out of business. Why? They don't make that much. They don't make enough to, fair wage system. I've talked about my fair wage system. Mandatory profit sharing after all taxes paid. on every company, whether it's a mom and pop shop or whatever. Never mind the minimum wage. No. Profit sharing, mandatory profit sharing. You will see prosperity beyond belief. Beyond belief. 1% of the profits after all taxes paid, and that will get so competitive. Why? Because the people that are really smart, okay, that go work for this company that gives you 1% profit sharing, will be scabbed by the company over here that offers you 3% profit sharing, or 5 or 9%, whatever. It'll just go up and up and up and up. It'll be beautiful. And I've worked for a company that did profit sharing, and trust me, some of those checks were damn big. They were nice. It wasn't a bonus. It was profit sharing. If there's no profit, you don't get anything. One of the years that, and they did it really good. I got to give the hats off to the staff on that one. They were able to keep the numbers under wraps so well. And we had like problems with, there was a shipping problem, and stuff like that. And there was, I forget what happened, but there was a ship that was stuck in the harbor for like 3 months. There wasn't product coming into the store, and all just a nightmare scenario. We're like, oh my God, this is going to kill our profit sharing, right? And stuff like that. And it turned out to be a record year. And it was just like, I got basically almost a sixth or a fifth of a year's salary in one check. It was really freaking nice. And I wasn't making that much money. $15 an hour is what I made. The highest money I've ever made on a job was $15 an hour, and that was that job. But if you added up the profit sharing, was much better. There were some people getting $8,000, $10,000 checks in their profit sharing because they worked so many hours and stuff like that. But it just stokes the staff so much. It's something they look forward to. They want to do a good job, and not only that, you get in the retail area, you're going to get a turnover rate in 7.5 years, I seen something like I would say least minimum 450 people come and go. Some fired, some quit, whatever. Some moved to other stores, all that type of stuff. But the thing is you end up getting a hardcore staff that they get really dedicated. They become lifers, and they, not so much that it's the best job in the world or whatever, but they're happy at it, and that's what they got to do. That said, getting back to the oil patch, you have to understand why it's being ruined. The people that are pushing the global warming and the new energy and stuff like that, again, Harper was an oil guy, sure, but these new guys are wind and solar. That's what they're invested in. That's why they keep promoting it. Rockefellers, they want to get out of oil and into other industries. That's why they're financing the global climate change thing. It's not because they can't control the planet's what. People that, if you look at, I think the Colbert Report did the best, showing the bullshit of how, removing data to make it look like there's more warming than there is when there actually really is no warming. It's, we got seasons. It's a cycle, right? That type of thing. But there's another thing with Saudi Arabia pumping all the oil. You now have got freighters. I mean, they're like putting this stuff in buckets. They don't know what to do with it. They're pumping so much of it. Okay, and it's to destroy the shale and oil industry in North America because they don't want it to compete, right? So they got to completely wipe it out so that they can bring in this new technology stuff. But the thing is they've got there's I think 2 big major freighters right now sitting in the Atlantic Ocean, nowhere to go because they're full. It's like, what do we do with all this oil? There's no need for it right now. I guess there's 2 ways to look at it. Number one, if you're getting the oil really cheap right now before you crash the system completely, you get all that oil and you have enough oil to get you through the war. So, I mean, they're going to start having a citizen program. Please come get like 5 buckets of oil and store them in your garage for the war, please. Just take it to your nearest refinery when requested. It's like, okay, that's what's going on there. Next to that, Kim Jong-un, yes, the power duo with the the only person that's mightier than and more popular in this country than Vladimir Putin is Kim Jong-un, who has threatened to wipe Turkey off the map for the second week in a row. Yes, you threaten my friend over there in Russia? We'll send nuclear bomb up your butt. Oh yeah, you're not going to like nuclear bomb up your butt because it's going to be like a reverse fart. And you go, boom, ha 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 ha. Hey Hans, move a little to the left. Yeah, just a little more. Little more. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I gotta love Team America. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah. But yeah, so, North Korea, again, they're like kind of like, you picking on my friend, you're picking on me, Yeah, it's kind of, the North Koreans, though, again, I'm not underestimating them, but they are kind of like a chihuahua in a way. A lot of bark, not sure about the bite, but a lot of bark. But they do have they can actually fire SLMs now, so, you can't underestimate them. And they are going to bat for the Russians, that's for sure. Okay, whatever. So, could the North Koreans actually reach Turkey with their missiles? Yes, they could. I think it's the K-41 or whatever it is. But that said, there's a new batch of missiles that have come out in North Korea. Now, the thing is these things are supposed to be cruise missiles. They're kind of a bit cartoonish looking. The North Koreans have been notorious for making papier-mâché missiles and stuff like that. So is it real? Is it not real? You don't know. I mean, just because it's crude doesn't mean it's not functionable. I mean, a tractor's crude, but it's very functional, right? North Korea with their tactical rocket tractors, those things are. But I bet you they're not going to get stuck anywhere. I mean, they're lightweight. They're not going to get stuck anywhere. I mean, they're probably more clever than what we were giving them credit for. But anyway, yeah, that's just kind of what's going on there. Navy drills and stuff like that, same old going on in this. There's another round going to be of saber rattling coming up in a couple of weeks, I believe, with U.S. going into the Chinese disputed area, the waters there. I don't know what else I got. I guess I'll have to leave it at that. But yeah, it just gives you an idea of how lunatic, particularly the GOP. Oh my God. It's getting to the point that the only person you could vote for out of sane rationality would be Trump. But listening to Chris Christie talk, I'm like, this man is... I get what they're trying to do, but the problem is okay, at first, it's the same like when you listen to Sheldon Adelson, who's now got a warrant out for his arrest in the United States for, I guess, tax evasion or fraud or whatever. When they come out and they say, yeah, we will just, fire a nuke here, fire a nuke there, get rid of these people, get rid of those people. The first few times you hear them saying it, you think, okay, well, they're just saying that as a figure of speech. But then you realize that, no, these people are serious. And it's same with Chris Christie. I'm from the Bronx and, maybe... because I speak in plain language, like he's such a man of the people, right? The man's a douchebag. He's a douchebag. He's not as liked as they make him out to be. Just definitely not. But the point is that, like these people, even if they didn't mean what they say, they're saber rattling. The Russians do take this seriously. They do take it seriously when you say you're going to shoot their airplanes down a week ahead of one getting shot down. Thank you very much, John McCain. So now you're telling me after John McCain comes out in front of the mainstream media and says, well, maybe we'll start arming the rebels. And then a Russian airliner gets shot down a week after. You don't think the Russians are going to pick up on that? Now, maybe John McCain just happened to blurt it out, and it just happened to happen. But, you think the Russians don't know about the SAM sites, like the SA-4s and the old surface-to-air missile systems that have been given by Saudi Arabia to ISIS, or so-called moderate rebels, the ISIS and al-Nusra guys, a week before the airliner got shot down. You think the Russians don't know about that? Of course they know about it. They know, they're like, they know what you're going to do before you do it because they're so fucking predictable. Sorry about the language, but you get the idea. But yeah, these people are maniacs. And even if they didn't get us into a war from will, they would just do it out of lunacy and ignorance. Not realizing, you're playing with fire. Every time, and this is indication one, when you hear a politician saying Russia's not a superpower, when they have more nukes than everybody else on the planet, yes, they are a superpower. Are they an economic superpower? Probably not, but they are a superpower. The Russian military, I'm not overestimating, it's just, they've got a lot, they've got numbers, they've got tons of numbers, and their stuff is good enough. Their training has been going up and up and up. They've been mirroring all the NATO training. You could take any country, doesn't matter. Guy with no military experience. Week one, he's going to be, of military training, he's going to be so good. 1 year, he's going to be at another level. 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, he's going to get good at what he does. And to think that the Russians' training regime isn't good, it's very good. It is very good. The Chinese too, their training regime is very good. Look at how they train. It doesn't look that much different from the Western training. It really is the same. Once they get a system that they like, that works for them, they will just keep following on it. And one of the things that the Russians really, really work on is anti-terrorism. In other words, they learn how to guerrilla warfare is one of their main tactics that they have amongst their Spetsnaz. Because they, that's how they learned in Grozny. That's how they learned in Chechnya and stuff like that. They learned to fight like that. They said, well, how are these guys kicking our asses? Oh, they're fighting dirty. Okay, well, let's just do what they're doing. They understand anti-terrorism just as good as anybody else because they they learned how to fight that way. They know how to think that way. So that's why they're good at what they do. And to underestimate these guys is a very, very dangerous thing for the globe. It's these people are maniacs. I can't stress that enough. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you very much to everybody who has. A little over $500 there now, so halfway to the 1,000. Once we get to the 1,000, I'll pull it, see what you guys want me to spend it on for the channel. And I've been getting all kinds of comments on it, such as green screen, new camera, books. Some people even suggested books. So whatever you think would be good for the channel, within that $1,000 budget, whenever we get there. Yeah, sure. There we go. Next to that, you can check out my WW3 Updates Facebook page. And it's just basically this video posted there. But you can post, geopolitical stuff. A lot of people have been sending me great links there. Thank you very, very, very much. On Twitter, it's just not Reg Me. I just post the video there. I don't bother doing tweets and stuff like that. It's just, but again, feel free, knock yourselves out. I haven't been on that channel in a while. I just post the video there, the World War III videos there. Next to that, what else can I say? Rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourselves. Be true to others. Always, always do the right thing. And have yourselves a great day.